I will never forget it. The year was 1991 when I entered the doors of recovery, and I was 29 years of age. Where this video comes from is talking about the only life that I knew was working the strolls on the streets or being in the clubs. That was our LGBTQ centers back then. There was no healthy environments to grow up in. So it was at 29 years of age that I began learning how to really do this thing called life on life's terms. And I was surrounded by people in recovery that didn't care that I had a trans experience. They said, you're an addict alcoholic like all the rest of us. There's nothing unique about you, and you need to just, go back to school, retool, get a job, be a contributing, gracious guest in the world, like all of us. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, you mean I can actually contribute to life here? And they were like, yeah. Maybe it would have been different if I was not stealth or, pretty or whatever like that, because I know back in 1991, it was still really hard for trans people. I know in Vancouver, I was the only trans person that I knew that in that whole scene, and I was in recovery, like right in the middle of the table, because I did not want to fall off. Or if I started falling off, I wanted people to see that I was, and they could help me. Because that's the thing with recovery. You have to come in, you have to sit down, you have to sit all the way down, and you need to let people get to know who you are. You need to work the program, you need to work the steps, you need to, go for outside help, get the lies out of your head that made you feel like you had to do that. I really didn't think that I was supposed to live in the light of day, because that's where they marginalized us, right? Like we were, the only way to learn about this was in the back of filthy magazines and stuff. Like it was just, there was no healthy representation. There was the anomaly, the Tula or whatever, but it was like, they had to be, Tula had to be stealth before she became famous, right? That's not to say that there's not the unicorns that, did live in society, but it's like, usually it was like living in the witness protection program. It would be like having unicorns as parents that would support you and move with you so that you could, transition. There are the exceptions. People talk to me in my private messages and say, I'm one of those people. And, some of them are married to people that don't even know, because it was that weird back then. So, when I came into recovery, what I'm doing now, I'm getting to it, is that I had to retool my whole working life, right? And I thought, oh my God, it's like, I don't have anything to contribute. But I went to this wonderful program in Canada. It was a federal program in Canada called Employment Skills for Women. It was fabulous. And there, I went for counseling as well, and they told me that I have all of these skills working with people, because to be able to survive all that, it's like you have really great skills. So by doing all these testing and stuff, they thought that I would be perfect to working in social service, working with people, especially with mental health. Because, let's face it, if you're working as a working girl, type of thing out there, you really are like, dancing with rattlesnakes sometimes, like charming them type of thing. And so, you're able to, work with people that can be, dangerous, right? So I worked I went back to school, and I worked in forensics mental health, people that were criminally insane and stuff. And I really was able to not be, freaked out working in that environment. So I got a career in it. And then on the side, I started taking yoga, and then taking teacher training in yoga. And because I became a Buddhist as well, so I took Tibetan heart yoga, which led me to these fabulous teachings in the Arizona desert. I was going like twice a year for these 2-week teachings, and it became one of my paramount for my healing, for sure. To be able to hold my mind in a way that I could navigate the world, with being trans, having all that trauma and stuff too. And then unfortunately, I started getting sick. I didn't know what was going on. I started ending up in the hospital in the middle of the night. They thought it was my heart, but after a lot of testing, they found out that I had PTSD, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, that's for weak people. I don't have it. And, once I told them my whole story, they went, oh my God, it's amazing that you can tie your shoes, let alone, work full time and stuff. So I was given long-term disability, and I worked part-time in retirement resorts teaching yoga to seniors. And then I got married, and well, I got married twice in between that, but the marriage that happened 8 years ago, I've been with him for 9 years, and so I moved to the island, and I would teach privately, part-time privately, and when I'm up to it, because I'd have flare-ups from my chronic pain and stuff from PTSD. I didn't even know that that's what it was from. And as you get older, you know, things start to bite you in the butt more. So now I am, now I'm writing. I'm actually writing my stories. You know, through the pandemic, I got on TikTok and started realizing that my story, you know, is needed and wanted. So that's what I'm focusing on now, is my writing. And I haven't been teaching any yoga lately, but you know, I make a little bit of money online, being a micro influencer, you know, sharing my stories and stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Bye everybody.